Yo, what's up? This is Big Kid Xavier. Um, kind of wanted to speak on the whole subject of interracial dating because I was at work today and on the big screen in our break room they were watching the Tyra Banks show. I didn't even know the shit was still on, but apparently they came up on the subject of interracial dating and people having all of these different stigmas and uh biased opinions and stereotypes as far as why people don't date out of their race or all these different things. And to me, a lot of it was really fucking ridiculous. And I honestly thought that it was a good number of people nowadays that are starting to get over that shit. They're starting to actually hit them. Granted, I think a lot of the people that they had on their show were probably more from up north, where down here, uh, it's kind of people who don't. I don't know. Like I think it's starting to catch on where to people are starting more to have preferences rather than having stereotypes and being biased as far as dating outside their race. I honestly don't have any problem with anyone with people dating outside their race. I do it, you know, um, and it's not because I'm not proud of who I am or anything. Because to me, especially when black people go and say things like that. Well, let's be specific. When African Americans, like people who are descendants of slaves, I'm not even gonna say people who because you can say African American and include people who migrated from the actual continent of Africa over to America. I'm talking about people who are the descendants of slaves. And you know to me it's kind of silly when they sit up and say, how can why are you going to date outside your race, and a lot of they themselves are mixed. It's like, come on now, you're not it's not as though you're light because you're just from a specific area of Africa or whatever and everything. It's like, shit, you yourself are mixed, and you sit up telling me that it's wrong for me to date outside my race. I'm like, technically I'm multiracial. I mean, when it gets broken down like that, I and when and whenever it gets questioned like that, where everyone says that they're just trying to just deny that they're black. It's not that. I consider myself black because to me, honestly, being black is to say I'm an African American, but I'm also mixed. I think it puts that. I think it includes that. To me, that's what a person being black is as far as if you were to say genetics wise and you know who their parents were, grandparents, etc., etc. Um, uh, heritage wise, because a lot of people are and nowadays are all mixed, so you can't really say you're dating outside your race because technically the fuck is, do you even know what entirely your race is? I mean, even if you were to just break it down and say, okay, the past 150 years, do you know? Fuck it, let's say the past 100 years, do you know your heritage? Can you say that you are completely, I'm black down to the fucking bone? I know exactly where my family came from, and off the shores of West Africa. And to me, it's fucking silly when you have people who have these stereotypes, and that's kind of like what I'm starting to see down, like what I'm at least seeing down here down south. You at least over here in the Houston area, I see a lot of interracial couples, a lot, and I'm actually glad to see it. It makes me feel as though you know people are actually progressing socially, you know, um, as a whole. Not to just say, oh, we need to have white people and black people dating each other. I'm talking about all around, you know, Asian and Hispanic, Latino and Middle Eastern and so on and so forth, just all across the board, you know. Um, I mean, why not? I'm not saying that people should only date outside their race. I'm just saying that it shouldn't be something that they should be ever ashamed of doing, and it shouldn't be taboo. Uh, I think that that a shitty personality can be found in every single race. I've seen it. To say that bad qualities in general of a person is more in one race than it is another. My thing is why are you concerned with the race as a whole as far as you dating this one particular person? You know, if that particular person, if you're attracted to them, if you're physically attracted to them, and you know, um, you're mentally attracted to them as far as who they are and their personality, and they treat you well, then why not be with them? That's the way I look at it. I can understand if you're just not physically attracted to that person. That's when it comes down to preference. But when people sit up and say, that I don't date white people, or I don't date Hispanics, or I don't date blacks, or I don't date Asians, and all this and that, it's to me it's just ignorance, and to say that you don't date someone just because of the race. It's ignorance, and it comes down to just like, how the fuck old are you? Really? It sounds it's pretty much the equivalent of me hearing someone say that, oh, girls have cooties and shit, like, or this person has fucking cooties. How fuck old are you? Really? But yeah, I think that people shouldn't date people based on their race. I think they should date people based on how, if they're attracted to them and if they make them happy, if they treat them right. I think that's a pretty simple way to look at it. Am I attracted to this person? You know, am I attracted? Am I physically attracted? Am I mentally attracted? And do they treat me right? Fuck what everybody else says. Fuck, and to me, it really. If you feel as though, I think it's funny when people say, fuck what other people think and everything. I'm gonna do me and everything. But when it comes to this particular a topic like this, all of a sudden, all of that, fuck what everybody else thinks and everything. I've seen with some people, they regress back to the whole, well, I don't really date black guys, or I don't really date white guys, or I don't really date whatever, because I don't want to have to deal with what my friends are gonna say, or my parents. I don't want to feel like having to hear them say this and that. And to me, that's pathetic. It's simply fucking pathetic. Reach down, grab your nuts, grab your ovaries, and just be a fucking adult. Think for yourself. It's that simple. But just some things I had on my mind today. Just thinking about that, I was just like, it's fucking silly. Really? Come on now. Uh, it's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous to try to argue against it. To say, oh, it's wrong, it's immoral. To try to compare race to bees being bees and birds being with birds, it's fucking retarded to me. It's just how I feel about it. But anyways, these are just my thoughts and my opinions. Post what you think about it, or how you feel about it. If you disagree, agree. Like, subscribe. Spit Kid, I'm out.